Storytime, Bad Neighbors, part 50 million. Just kidding. I never thought I was going to be at a point in my life where I would have so many story times about so many bad neighbors. But yet, here we are. So, I think we just need to get into a little bit of a history. I live in an apartment. They're side by side. And I've lived here for 10 years. For 7 of those years they were blissful. I had an elderly woman and a handicapped man, and they were awesome people, super courteous, friendly, kind. The head of the housing authority passed away, and there was a lot of overhaul, and they were moved out. So for a couple months, we had to endure on either side of us just construction, hammering all day long, strange people. It was terrible. July 3rd, a couple years ago, it was the holiday weekend, and we were so excited because we were going to have a quiet, fun, family, peaceful weekend without anybody, just quiet. And it was that until 3 a.m. Yep, that's right, 3 a.m. We were all woken up by yelling, lots of swearing, yelling. I opened my door to see what was going on. Of course, not thinking that it had anything to do with either apartment. The first thing I see is a moving truck. 3 a.m. We're all woken up. Yep. A moving truck. And a man in the dark. I could see his silhouette. Throwing trash on the ground. In our parking lot. Fast food trash, cup, bag of trash, whatever. Just on the ground. Right near my car. Just like it's nothing. Huge pet peeve of mine. Huge. So that was my first impression. So for the next couple minutes, I was just watching, and it was him, his son, and this woman, we find out, they were just moving in like it was noon. Like it was just normal in our so quiet you can hear a pin drop outside. It was just normal for just them to be moving in, yelling, swearing, banging, didn't matter. And he's just walking by like, hey. So I finally had to say something like, you guys realize it's 3 a.m.? Normally, you would think, I'm so sorry. Well, first of all, why are you even moving at 3 a.m.? So I'm panicking because it's like coming to the realization that this is my new neighbor and things aren't looking good. So I finally say, it's 3 a.m. And he starts telling me, I am so sorry. And the woman who's with him jumps in front of him and says, do not apologize. You do not need to apologize. And I'm going, yeah, he kind of does. He woke my whole family up. You do not need to apologize to this entitled woman. And choice words. There were other choice words that I am not going to say. Not on here. I keep getting banned. So, anyway, I'm being called all kinds of things. This woman doesn't know me. And let me tell you that they could be anybody. It was 3 a.m. and we were woken up with no end in sight. And the panic. Let me remind you. The panic that this is my new neighbor and I have a bad feeling. So we're going to call him Jay. Jay and his son are moving in. And now we have the woman. She's out of control. She's not right up here. She's so angry with me. And she's going to fight me. She wants to fight me. She is literally trying to get past my husband to fight me. So I go in and I call the police because this is crazy. They come, they squash it. Everything kind of calms down. 4:30 in the morning. Knock on the door. It's our lovely new neighbor. Do you have any soda? He says. Do you have any soda? After he's woken us up, we've had to call the police. His friends tried to fight me. He's going to ask me for soda. This is a man with a hustle and no boundaries like I've never seen. So I give him some water and he goes on his merry way. We kind of all fall asleep, me with a very heavy heart and a lot of anxiety. We wake up and we decide that we are going to try to start over. We're going to bring them breakfast. We're going to do the neighborly thing and we're going to try to see if we can, be friendly. He says, thank you. Can you give me a ride? Can you give me a ride to the grocery store? We need groceries. Now, asking for a ride is okay, of course. But I'm thinking, we live in an area that you absolutely need transportation. There is nowhere to walk. You are not walking anywhere around here. And he has no transportation, and he's already, after that whole thing, asking us for a ride. Like, you don't have a plan already. Again, a man with a hustle. So not that I don't want to do favors for somebody, of course. But I realized very quickly we need very big boundaries with this man. And my husband, he's not getting that. He's just decided he's going to be his friend. Now, my husband isn't really friends with anybody. So this is very confusing to me. So for 2 weeks, they're going everywhere. My husband doesn't give anyone a ride, but he's giving him a ride. You can tell he's getting frustrated and annoyed, but he's driving him everywhere. And in between the rides, he's knocking at the door. Do you have sugar? Do you have flippin' hair conditioner? Who asks a stranger, a neighbor, for hair conditioner? For a man who was bald. I also need to add that I garden and we share a backyard. And he knocks on my back door and says, hey, when are you watering today? And I'm like, I don't know why. Why is this a question? Well, I want to watch you. He wants to watch me garden. Well, there goes my gardening for the summer. Now, I haven't got to the point. That's right. I haven't got to the point. This is probably getting too long. But the really important things, the really bad things start happening very early on, like day one. He is the loudest man in existence, and I can still hear him from Florida. He's in Florida, I think. I can still hear him, and I'm in Massachusetts. I've never heard somebody so loud, and he was on the phone all day, every day. I could hear everything he was saying. In between that was his lovely music. Oh, his music, the thumping, the bass, the walls, just, my picture frames are rattling, and I can't hear myself think, not even with my AirPods in. He even had a speaker he clipped to his belt buckle when he would leave the home to walk around asking the entire world for favors. Everybody, from laundry money to food. This man had no shame. And even his son was in on the hustle. He had his son in on the hustle. We watched it. They had a whole scam going. It was actually, if I wasn't living right next door, it was fascinating. Now, we were he's on the end. So we're the only ones really experiencing, like, we're on ground zero. The whole neighborhood could hear him, though. They could hear him. They could hear all his inappropriate conversations. They were all hiding from him because he was asking everyone for everything, rides to football, this, that. And if you didn't do it, you were, really bad words I'm not going to use on here. That's right. You were those things. If you wouldn't help him, you were those things. And he would tell me this. He was mad at this one woman in here because she wouldn't commit to giving him a ride to football every single day for every single practice and every single game. She's a single woman. She didn't feel comfortable committing to that. What if she had other things to do? She became arch enemy. He hated her. So, to sum this up, this is a man who came into my quiet little neighborhood, and he was loud, and he was hustling and taking advantage of everybody. But there was one thing he was doing that absolutely just was it for me. He was, I don't know how to say it on here properly, but he basically would do something that's kind of legal now in a lot of states, and no judgment. Don't get me wrong. You do you. I'm cool with that. I don't care. I just don't want it in my house. I don't want my house to smell like that. And he did that thing from the time he woke up until the time he went to bed, all day, every single day, which meant my house smelled like that's what I was doing. I gotta go over to part 2. I'm sorry this got so long, but I don't know how to make it shorter. See you in part 2.